As you said, we are in an area of turning the page. It's a cultural change for HTA, for Europe. This one, and best thing when you really turn the page is try to see what is available. What is the current, how should I say, standard of care, to use this phrase. And we asked Monica Otto from Bocconi University to give us some insights on, how should I say, the current state of the art in the environment HTA assessment in the medical device arena. Monica Otto has a PhD in political science and business administrations. She is working at the Bocconi Health Service Management Center, and she and Rosanna Terriconi, if I may say, if you go into the literature, it's almost no way to avoid their contributions. So very warmly welcome, and thanks for giving us an overview on where we stand HTA in medical devices.
Thank you so much. So I would like to share with you a very brief overview of the HTA status on medical devices, and also to share with you some considerations concerning the integration between the MDR, so the medical device regulation, and the HTAR. So this is the agenda. So first of all, I wanted to start with this picture that seems to demonstrate that HTA is the most diffused approach to take decisions in healthcare, which is a good news. But let me say that the degree of maturity across these countries is very different. The scope, the same, in the sense that in some countries there is a very well-developed HTA system for drugs, for medical devices. Let's say there is a lot that has to be done. But also there is a very different degree of transparency and accountability, and also the level of governments that are present and that have a voice in terms of HTA are very different. Let's say that Europe, if compared to other countries, is taking, very, very interesting steps, above all in terms of integration across the different levels of government. And I have a comment concerning what Professor Marchetti said before, and I'm going to integrate this in my next slide. So if you can move here. So if we go a look, if we focus on the European level, and if we give a look of the HTA, let's say, geographical coverage, we are used to have a lot of differences across the European countries. And most of them have already very structured HTA processes, but I tried to look at them in a critical way and to clusterize them. And what I discovered is that basically those healthcare systems that tend to have centralized decisions concerning pricing and reimbursement tend to have HTA that are centrally managed. Vice versa, those healthcare systems who basically decentralize the decision concerning resource allocation, so who are more independent or autonomous in terms of resource allocation at regional or local level, well, they tend also to justify some regional or local experiences of HTA. And then we have the in-between situations. Let me say, I come from Italy. Professor Marchetti mentioned the experience of Agenas. In my opinion, Agenas is the example that tried to harmonize the Italian behavior, because when HTA became an opportunity, let me say that in Italy we saw mushrooming so many HTA local realities or local processes that were creating a mess, to be very honest. So Agenas represented the opportunity to centralize the HTA decision-making process and to provide a sort of order to the local dynamics. Having an HTA regulation at supranational level is fundamental in order to avoid the duplications. Let me say that we have to combine, and we are combining, looking at the HTA processes at national and local level, a process of harmonization also at country level. Because countries that have a different level of governments, like Italy or Spain, risk to duplicate a lot of efforts that we are trying to avoid. If we continue, there are a lot of, okay, just to make it easier, okay. So here I wanted to compare the medical device regulation and the HTR by stressing basically the great opportunities behind these regulations, at least as perceived by the academic perspective. I mean, on the one hand, the MDR is the opportunity to improve the quality of clinical evidence. And the HTAR is the opportunity to insist on what Maya was saying before, efficiency, avoid duplication, and decrease the fragmentation across countries. Both of them have have something in common, a very important specific aspect. They insist a lot on the interaction, integration, the collaborative approach in the decision-making process by integrating the perspective of different stakeholders, patients, industry, decision makers, and this is probably the connection, the bridge we have to insist on. In the next slide, I was asked to provide some considerations concerning how, or at least what are how to overcome the silos, because the risk that we are now perceiving is that the two regulations are approached as two silos. And in order to avoid this, we have some considerations or suggestions. So the first one is to insist on the accelerated access pathway. As we were saying, on the one hand, thanks to the MDR, we want to insist on a certain level of safety of devices, of clinical evidence. On the other hand, thanks to HTAR, we want to insist we have the opportunity to provide timely access to devices and to our technologies. But we have actually the risk to duplicate or to increase the timing. So in an accelerated access pathway, that is the opportunity to leverage on both the regulations and on the coordinating groups and the notified bodies is an opportunity. Through this accelerated access pathway, the intention is also to inform and to advise the manufacturers on the appropriate clinical evidence generation plan in order to inform as fast as possible and in the best way possible the decisions concerning HTA. Next slide. Another consideration concerning how to integrate the two opportunities behind the two regulations is to leverage on the real-world evidences, in the sense that MDR post-market surveillance could represent an information, or could inform HTA evaluations, or however could be a source of info or data to take better and faster and more efficient decisions. Okay. Sorry, I thought I could be independent, and so I used some animation. So let me say that probably we need to insist on how the two regulations can learn from each other and try to find some harmonized methodologies. I conclude with the very last slide. Okay. By saying that, again, we strongly believe that we have to find ways to create a bridge between the two opportunities provided by the two regulations. Among the considerations I did, probably the most pragmatic opportunity is the one of investing in an accelerated access pathway. I know that this is going to be mentioned also during the case study, so I don't want to spoil too much, but this could be an opportunity to speed up the process and to integrate the two regulations opportunity. Thank you.